time, before I met her, I was a beast. I was cursed with this curse that left me confined to this hideous form, this terrifying countenance. It consumed my innocence so much so that pure love was the only fairy tale I could ever remember. No identity, just a grotesque silhouette. I had no friends to be my guests, just victims. I confided in no one but loneliness until I started conversing with candles and clocks, which only deepened my despair, knowing that time was waxing away. You see, when worthy desires are reduced to a hunger for flesh, even a wilderness could smell like paradise. Because what some call dates, I call hunting for prey. I even had damsels flashing me with their voluptuous compromises, fulfilling my National Geographic fantasies. I always wanted a girl gone wild. So what on earth would cause a gorgeous matador to unravel her rose-colored heart and wave it so virtuously in my face when she knew I was on that bull who gave her the audacity to trespass into the haunted castle of my mind, and whose silly idea was it to convince this ravishing beauty to lavishly love an atrocious animal? Didn't she ever hear that once God gives a man his rib, he pours that master's piece on her rightful throne? I said, once God gives a man his rib, he pours that piece on her master, pours that piece on her throne, but give a rib to a dog, and all he recognizes is a bone. Come on. So like a bone, I desired to bury her worth in the backyard of my mind, but I couldn't shake those thoughts. They plagued my conscience like fleas. I was in heat. See, she was supposed to be like every other girl, just a fresh piece of meat. I never wanted any chemistry, but I did treat relationships like a lab, and that required a rat soul. How else would I experiment? A mad scientist only concerned about studying what was in her genes, and I guess that made me feel tough. Because I learned to outwardly translate the bitterness I was inwardly concealing. After being emotionally battered until I was numb, I got used to having no feelings, but it seemed she was already aware of the brokenness of my heart. In fact, I could have sworn I saw her collecting the bloody fragments from under my ex's heels, and I'm sure they never knew how much those red bottoms cost me, but it's like she could see past my past, and past the ugliness, and past this wolf's apparel that I used to cover it. They say love is blind. What a lie. You don't know her optometrist. She gave me hope when she spoke with the sureness of a prophet. And it must have rubbed off on me, because I began to see my future standing right in front of me. Though we were polar opposites, I had to consider there must have been something untamable, a transformational force that drew us like the sketches of an architect drew us, like the pull of affectionate magnets drew us, like the pistols of dueling cowboys in our souls were two bullets that collided like asteroids that weren't paying close enough attention to where they were going, and at last, perhaps, due to the impact, the spell was broken. And it happened just like a movie, a Disney movie. Because when Disney landed, it became the most magical place on earth. And Wedding Bell was beyond a sound. It was my dream becoming a reality. But now I realize my story was just a low-budget remake of the original. See, once upon a time, before we met him, we were beasts, cursed with a curse that left us inclined to the wickedness of our hearts. Our forms were downgraded from glorious to sinful, and we were doomed, unless, of course, in the course of this course, the Creator could concoct a concoction to cure us and crack these caterpillar cocoons, these carnal coffins caging our consciousness. He communicates with corpses and calls them to consciousness with the competence to cause this curse to be canceled, and so an untamable, transformational force called grace introduced perfection to disaster, Though we were unworthy to cross his path, through the cross's path, heathens had made contact with matchless beauty. His mercy was laid so heavily upon us, it suffocated the groanings of our guilt and the cries of our judgment. He reached past the depths of death, through the chambers of darkness, and pulled us out of the lost and found. We were lost and found by he whose presence makes wimps of our savage facades with a passion so intimidating. He just loves and loves the hell out of us. Because he understood that once the purest of blood was spilled, it would never be in vain. So no matter who finds Christ, the truest love, it will never be the same again. For beauty himself will tell our souls will live happily ever after. But to the beast we call sin, he will say, the end. Yes. Okay, cool.